anyway, I'm very happy to be here with all of you. There's a lot of people I remember from when I was working at the Lake County Wine Grape Commission, and so it's fun to be back. And I will be starting as the district conservationist for NRCS in Lakeport for Lake County in April, and so it's an opportunity now to let you know about some of our programs that can help you with some of the things that all these speakers have been talking about today. So I'm trying to see if I can figure out the slide. There we go. Okay. So some of you may not have worked with NRCS before, and just to give you a really brief introduction to how we work with landowners. So it's basically what we call people who have working lands, forest land, cropland, and rangeland. And you work with us on a voluntary basis. We're not a regulatory agency. We don't report, if there's something that we notice, we may tell you that could be a regulatory issue, but we're not in contact with regulatory agencies. And so our objective is to help you improve natural resources. And there's some financial programs and also technical assistance available. And so yeah, eligibility, you need to be in agricultural production, demonstrate control of the land. So sometimes people we work with are leasing the land, but that is still, and sometimes they're owners. And then you need to meet the adjusted gross income limitations, which are an average annual adjusted gross income of right now. The limit is $900,000 a year. And that's for the financial assistance part. Eligibility. So the way you would work with NRCS is to contact your local field office, and I'll give contact information at the end. And then we talk with you, find out what your concerns are, what you're trying to do, and often have a field visit to look at things on the ground. And you'd submit your application. Steps 3 and 4 can kind of alternate depending on where we are in the funding cycle. We'll complete an inventory if it's needed of whatever the natural resource issue is that you're trying to address, develop some alternatives and discuss them with you, and come up with this project that will then be ranked to determine funding selections. So projects are ranked based on the degree, the number of natural resources that you're addressing. And then if you're funded, we go on to complete the environmental review and give you guidance so that you know what you need to do in order to meet our standards and then be paid for that practice, that thing that you've done. And yeah, just quickly, one of the jargon words that we use a lot is practice, and by that we mean either a management practice, so it could be soil moisture monitoring and guiding your irrigation scheduling, or it could be physical infrastructure like improvements to your irrigation system. So I'll keep saying practice, but these are the kinds of things that we can potentially fund for you. And then and also just to let you know that you complete the project and then you receive payments, and it's usually pretty quick right after. And the other thing to know is that our funding often does not cover the entire cost. So it's good to know at the start whether it's going to work out for you. So what are the kinds of things that we can help you with, the kinds of practices? Irrigation system evaluations. So Allison was just talking about how you could look at drip uniformity. You can also sign up to have a professional look at your system from all the way from the pump out to the drippers or the sprinklers. Irrigation system improvements would be something like replacing impact sprinklers with drip irrigation that would conserve water, or a frost system that is impact sprinklers to one of those micro irrigation systems. And then we have a management practice called irrigation water management, where you would install some kind of monitoring and use it to improve your irrigation scheduling. And then we are able to help with building ponds and pond liners if there is a natural resource benefit. So, and also if there's the proper water rights to store water in the pond. So that can be complicated. Surface water diversions would be an issue. And then groundwater, sounds like is possibly an issue as well. So whether a pond will work is something that would have to be determined. If your pond is leaking, pond liner is obviously going to help you save water. So, and then the kinds of practices that we help with for water quality include a whole bunch of soil management practices like cover cropping, reduced tillage, mulch, or adding compost. And all of those things can improve water entry into the soil, improve water storage capacity a little bit. It's not going to make a big difference, and improve nutrient availability. Sometimes people don't want to do a lot of say compost addition because you think it'll make your vines grow too much. If your vines are really vigorous, it could be that you're going to use a cover crop to reduce the vigor. So there's kind of the whole picture of what you're trying to do. And of course, having better cover and reduced tillage prevents possible erosion and sediment delivery to waterways. We have a management practice for nutrient management. The wine grape community really has a lot of sophisticated tools already, especially through that sustainable wine growing program. But if you're interested in finding out the NRCS approach, you can talk to us. We also have a pest management practice where you would look at the pesticides and the herbicides that you're using and see if there's ways to reduce the overall risk from those materials. And then also some kinds of vegetative practices, like along field borders, along the edges of streams, to prevent any kind of surface runoff to streams. And we also have things we can help you with for aquatic habitat improvement. If stream crossings need to be upgraded, say your culvert is undersized, or it's especially if it was preventing passage of fish. Access road improvements, if you've got unpaved roads that are delivering sediment to streams. Planting along riparian corridors, either herbaceous vegetation or tree planting. And then a reminder that, for example, with stream crossings, if you're doing any work in a stream, you're going to have to get permits, and NRCS does not get those permits for you. That would be the landowner's responsibility. And so some of our programs, the big one, kind of the one I've been talking about with all these things that we do, is the Environmental Quality Incentives Program. And right now we just passed the funding selection for this fiscal year. So, but I really like to start planning with people as soon as possible, because that'll get you a much better plan that's more likely to be funded when that funding cycle comes around. Then we also have Regional Conservation Partnership Program, which are specific targeted funding sources in targeted regions for a given resource or suite of resource concerns, in this case, soil health management. And that one is still in the works. So that's for things like cover crop, reduced tillage, and funding for plans like carbon farm plans, soil health management plans. So if those sound of interest, you can talk to me about those. And then we also have a program called the Conservation Stewardship Program that still has its application deadline, April 14th, coming right up. And that might really meet some of you vineyard landowners who've done a lot with your with the sustainable wine growing program, with your operation. So this kind of is for people who've done a lot already, and then you get annual payments based on the number of resource concerns that you have already addressed, and based on your property and land uses. Payments based on the land use and the size of your property, and then you add enhancements to sort of go another step beyond in your natural resource management. And I know this is all really fast and a lot of jargon, and that's why we're there to talk to you about it all. So here's my contact information. I'm not putting any addresses since I'm back and forth between Ukiah and Lakeport right now, and then I'll be permanently in Lakeport April 10th. So best to reach me by email or cell phone. And thanks for the opportunity to talk to you all.